The year was 2347. Humanity had finally done what their ancestors only dreamed about. They had reached the stars. They had built ships that could travel faster than light. They had created colonies on distant worlds. And now, they had found others. The message came from a place called Nexus Prime. It was a giant space station that floated between three dying suns. The message was simple. It said that the Galactic Concord wanted to meet the new species. They wanted to meet humans. Admiral Una Park stood on the bridge of her ship and read the message again. She was a small woman with short black hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. She had fought pirates near Jupiter. She had defended colonies from raiders. But this was different. This was first contact with alien life. "What do you think?" she asked. Lieutenant Minho Kong stood beside her. He was young, barely 30, but he was smart and loyal. He had been with Una for 5 years. "I think we should be careful," he said. "We know nothing about them." Una nodded. "Prepare the diplomatic team. We leave in 6 hours." The journey to Nexus Prime took 3 days. When they arrived, Una felt her heart stop for a moment. The station was massive. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was a city floating in space, with lights that glowed in colors she had never seen before. Their ship docked at a port that seemed designed for vessels 10 times their size. Una led her team through corridors made of strange metal that hummed with energy. The air smelled different here. It smelled like machines and chemicals and something else she could not name. The council chamber was a great hall with seats arranged in a circle. 17 different species sat watching as the humans entered. Una tried not to stare, but it was hard. Some of the aliens had scales. Some had too many eyes. Some had bodies made mostly of metal and wire. One of them stood up. He was tall, almost 3 meters, and his body was more machine than flesh. His arms were chrome. His eyes glowed blue. When he moved, she could hear the soft sound of gears and servos. "I am Theros," he said. His voice was smooth but cold. "I speak for the Velrathi and for the Concord. You are the humans." Una stepped forward. "I am Admiral Una Park. I speak for Earth and all human colonies. We come in peace. We seek friendship and trade." Theros tilted his head. The movement was too precise, too mechanical. "Peace," he repeated as if the word was strange to him. "Friendship." He walked closer. His chrome feet made heavy sounds on the floor. He stopped just a meter away from Una and looked down at her. "You are small," he said. "Size is not everything," Una replied calmly. Theros laughed. It was an ugly sound, like metal scraping metal. "Perhaps, but tell me, human, where are your enhancements?" "Our enhancements?" Your neural links. Your improved bodies." He gestured at his own chrome arm. "This arm can crush stone. My eyes can see in every spectrum. My brain is connected to a network of 1 billion minds. What do you have?" Una kept her face calm. "We have what we were born with." The chamber went silent. Then slowly, the other aliens began to laugh. The sound filled the great hall. Some of them pointed at the humans. Some shook their heads in disbelief. A creature that looked like a giant insect clicked its mandibles. "They are unaugmented? Truly, how primitive? A snake-like being with scales that shimmered like metal coiled tighter and hissed. Meat and bone. Nothing more. How did they even survive in space?" Theros raised his hand and the laughter slowly died. He was still looking at Una with those glowing blue eyes. "Every species in the Concord has improved themselves," he said. "We have replaced our weaknesses with strength. We have removed our limitations. We have become more than what we were born as." He paused. "But you are still organic, still primitive, still ... fragile." Ninho stepped forward, his hands tight at his sides. "We are not fragile." We have Una held up her hand to stop him. She kept her eyes on Theros. "What are you saying?" she asked quietly. Theros smiled. At least she thought it was a smile. It was hard to tell with a face that was half metal. We are saying that you cannot be equals, he said. You are too weak, too limited. But the Concord is generous. We will allow you to join us. He paused. As a labor species, the words hung in the air. A labor species. Una repeated, yes, your soft bodies are good for certain tasks. Cleaning, maintenance, perhaps. Entertainment for those who enjoy exotic things. He laughed again. It is a kind offer. You should accept. The other aliens nodded and murmured in agreement. They looked at the humans like they were looking at animals, like they were looking at pets. Una felt something cold settle in her chest. It was not fear. It was something else. Something older and darker. She had felt it before, long ago, when she was a child reading about the history of her people. About the times when some humans thought they were better than others. About the chains and the pain and the long struggle for freedom. She looked around the chamber. She saw the chrome bodies and the glowing eyes and the mechanical limbs. She saw creatures who had replaced their hearts with machines and their souls with code. They had forgotten what it meant to be alive. They had forgotten what it meant to struggle and suffer and survive, and they dared to call humans primitive. We came seeking friendship, Una said. Her voice was steady, but there was ice in it. You offer chains, Thuro shrugged. It was a strange movement for a body made of metal. We offer mercy. You should be grateful. What could primitives like you possibly do against us? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have destroyed species far stronger than you. Accept our offer, or be forgotten. Una looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who had just made a decision. A terrible decision. You want to know what primitives can do? She asked softly. She turned and began walking toward the exit. Minho and the others followed her. At the door, she stopped and looked back at the council chamber full of chrome and metal and glowing eyes. You will find out, she said. I promise you that. She walked out without another word. Behind her, the aliens laughed again. They laughed at the small humans with their soft bodies and their empty threats. They laughed because they could not imagine anything else. They did not know that they had just made the worst mistake in the history of the galaxy. The news spread across human space like fire. Every colony, every station, every ship heard what had happened at Nexus Prime. They heard how the aliens had laughed. They heard how they had offered humanity a place as servants. As slaves, people reacted in different ways. Some were afraid. The Galactic Concord had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had technology that humans could barely understand. They had destroyed entire species. What chance did humanity have? But others felt something different. They felt anger. A deep, burning anger that came from somewhere old and primal. Humanity had spent its entire history fighting against those who said they were not good enough. They had fought against kings and tyrants and each other. They had clawed their way up from the mud and the blood and the darkness. And they had never, ever accepted being called inferior. The United Council met in Seoul. It was the old capital of Korea. Rebuilt after the Third World War, now home to the most powerful government in human history. Representatives from Earth and all 12 colony worlds gathered in a great hall that had once been a palace. Councilwoman Hannah Cho stood at the center. She was 50 years old, with gray in her black hair and lines on her face that showed a life of hard work. She had grown up poor. She had fought for everything she had. And she did not know how to surrender. You have all seen the recordings, she said. Her voice was calm but hard. You have all heard what they said about us. The chamber was silent. Thousands of faces watched her on screens across human space. They called us weak, Hannah continued. They called us primitive. They looked at us and saw nothing but meat and bone. They offered us a place as their servants, and they called it mercy. She paused and looked around the room. I remember the stories my grandmother told me. She told me about a time when humans thought they were better than other humans. Because of the color of their skin, because of where they were born, because of what God they prayed to. Her voice grew harder. We spent centuries fighting that idea. We bled for it. We died for it. And we won. She pointed at the sky. And we find that the universe is full of the same poison. Creatures who look at us and see something less. Something to be used. Something to be owned. She shook her head. No, not again. Never again. General Taiho Shin stepped forward. He was an old soldier, 65 years old, with a face like carved stone. He had spent his entire life preparing for war, hoping it would never come. Now he knew it was here. The Concorde has 17 species, he said. They have millions of ships. They have weapons we have never seen. They have been fighting wars since before humans learned to make fire. He paused. They think this makes them strong. He pressed a button and holographic images appeared in the air. Old images. Images from human history. This is what humans looked like 10,000 years ago, he said. The image showed people in animal skins, holding wooden spears. We had nothing. No metal, no cities. No writing. Just sticks and stones and our own 2 hands. The images changed. They showed pyramids rising from the sand, ships sailing across oceans, armies clashing with swords and spears. We conquered our world with those sticks, Taiho said. We built empires. We fell and rose and fell again. Every time something knocked us down, we got back up. Every time someone said we could not do something, we did it anyway. More images? Trenches filled with mud and blood. Mushroom clouds rising over cities. Soldiers fighting in jungles and deserts and frozen mountains. We have fought each other with every weapon we could imagine, Taiho continued. We have burned our own cities. We have nearly destroyed our own species. We stopped not because we forgot how to fight, but because we chose to stop. We chose peace. He looked directly at the camera. But we never forgot the fire. It is still there inside every one of us. Waiting, Hannah stepped forward again. The Concorde believes that their cybernetics make them superior. They've replaced their flesh with metal. They've replaced their instincts with programs. They've replaced their fear with arrogance. She raised her chin. They have forgotten what it means to be hungry, to be desperate, to be mortal. They have forgotten what it feels like to have nothing but your own will to keep you alive. They have forgotten what humans never can. She raised her hand. I will not lead humanity into slavery. I will not let our children grow up as servants to creatures who think they are gods because they have metal arms. Her voice rose. Humanity does not ask for war. But if war is what they demand, then war is what they will get. Taiho nodded. We are not the biggest. We're not the strongest. We do not have their technology or their numbers. But we have something they have lost. We have the will to fight. The stubbornness to never give up. It's the madness to keep going even when all hope is gone. Hannah looked into the camera. Millions of humans watched her across the stars. Today we send a message to the Galactic Concorde. We are not your servants. We are not your slaves. We are not your entertainment. We are humanity. We bow to no one. She pressed a button. This is our declaration of war. The message was sent across all frequencies. It reached every corner of human space. It reached the Concorde's stations and ships and worlds. It reached Nexus Prime, where Theros sat in his chrome body and read the words with his glowing eyes. He laughed. He called his commanders and showed them the message. They laughed too. The insectoid Kreth, the serpentine Orvani, the stone-like Morath. They all laughed at the tiny species that dared to challenge the masters of the galaxy. Prepare the fleet, Theros said, still amused. We will teach these primitives their place. Should not take long. He was right about one thing. It would not take long for someone to learn their place, but it would not be the humans on Earth. Hannah Cho stood on a balcony and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, an enemy was coming. An enemy with numbers and technology and thousands of years of experience. She was not afraid. General Taiho joined her. They will come for New Busan first, he said. It is our closest colony to their space. Hannah nodded. Can we defend it? Probably not. Taiho was honest, but we will try. And we will make them bleed for every centimeter. Hannah smiled grimly. Good. Let them see what primitives can do. Somewhere in the dark between the stars, the Concorde fleet began to move. 2 million ships, carrying soldiers with metal bodies and programmed minds. They expected an easy victory, expected the humans to see their power and surrender. They had no idea what was coming. The Velrothi fleet arrived at New Busan on a cold Tuesday morning. 300 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and filled the sky like a swarm of metal insects. Their commander was called Corveth, a Velrathi admiral whose body was 90% machine. He had fought in 37 wars and never lost. He looked at the human colony below and felt nothing but contempt. New Busan was a young world, barely 50 years old. It had green hills and blue oceans, and cities that looked fragile compared to the great hives of the Concorde. A few million humans lived there, soft and weak and unaugmented. Scan for their defenses, Corveth ordered. His sensors found 30 human ships in orbit, 30 against 300. It was not even a battle, it was a joke. Open a channel, Corveth said. Captain Jisuan received the transmission on her bridge. She was 34 years old, with black hair tied back and eyes that were calm despite the fear in her heart. She had been a cargo ship captain before the war. Now she commanded the defense of her home. Corveth's face appeared on her screen. Chrome and cold and completely confident. Human vessel, he said. I am Admiral Corveth of the Velrothi Dominion. You are surrounded and outmatched. Surrender now, and your deaths will be painless. Resist, and we will turn your world to ash. Jisoo looked at the face on her screen. She thought about her parents, who had built one of the first farms on New Busan. She thought about her younger brother, who was down there right now, probably scared out of his mind. She thought about all the people who had worked so hard to make this world their home. Then she smiled. We do not do painless, she said, and cut the transmission. What followed became known as the 3-day miracle. The human ships did not fight like the Concorde expected. They did not form neat lines. They did not follow predictable patterns. They fought like animals. They fought dirty. Jisoo split her fleet into small groups of 2 or 3. They darted between the enemy ships, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. When the Velrathi fired their massive cannons, the humans were already somewhere else. They are fast, Corveth noted, with mild surprise. But speed alone will not save them. Close in and destroy them. His ships moved forward. That was his first mistake. The humans had spent weeks preparing, had filled the space around New Busan with mines, not fancy mines with advanced technology. Simple bombs hidden in debris and old satellites and chunks of rock. When the Velrathi ships moved in, they started exploding. 20 Velrathi ships died in the first hour. Corveth was confused. His targeting systems could not track the mines. They were too small, too random, too primitive. His computers were designed to predict advanced weapons, not chunks of metal with explosives strapped to them. Destroy the minefield, he ordered. But while his ships focused on the mines, the human vessels attacked. They came from unexpected angles. They used asteroids as cover. One ship, commanded by a young pilot named Junho, flew directly at a Velrathi cruiser, ejected his reactor at the last moment, and escaped in a small shuttle as his ship became a bomb. The cruiser was destroyed. Junho was picked up by a friendly ship and went right back to fighting. On the ground, things were even worse for the Velrathi. Sergeant Woojin Lee led a squad of soldiers defending the capital city. They had rifles and grenades and basic armor. The Velrothi landing force had power armor and plasma weapons and bodies enhanced with combat programs. It should have been a massacre. It was just not the way the Velrothi expected. Woojin did not fight fair. He could not afford to. He led his soldiers through the sewers and the back alleys. They set traps in buildings. They collapsed tunnels on top of enemy squads. They attacked at night, when their own fear sharpened their senses, while the Velrathi relied on sensors that could not tell the difference between a human and a warm animal. The Velrathi combat programs were designed for efficiency. They calculated the best moves, the optimal strategies. They were perfect for fighting enemies who also followed rules. Humans did not follow rules. One Velrathi soldier later reported. that a human woman had attacked him with a kitchen knife after he had already shot her twice. She had kept coming, screaming something in a language he did not understand, until she was dead at his feet. His combat program had no response to that. It had no file for enemies who did not know when to stop. "They are insane," the soldier said. "They do not fear death." He was wrong. The humans feared death very much. That was exactly why they fought so hard. They knew they could die. They knew every breath might be their last, and that made them more dangerous than any machine. By the second day, Corveth had lost 50 ships. His ground forces were being pulled apart by an enemy they could not predict. His supply lines were being attacked by human ships that appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. His programs told him he was still winning. He had the numbers. He had the technology. Should be winning. But the numbers were changing. His programs could not explain why. On the third day, Ji-Suan led a desperate attack on Corvath's flagship. She had only 8 ships left. Most of them were damaged. Some were barely flying. "This is suicide," her first officer said. "Maybe," Jisoo agreed. "But if we can take down their flagship, their fleet will lose coordination. Their programs will need time to adjust." She looked at her crew. They were tired and scared and hurt. But they were also something else. They were angry. "We are going to show these metal bastards what humans are made of," she said. "Who is with me?" They all were. The attack was chaos. Human ships rammed into Velrithi vessels. They overloaded their weapons and fired everything at once. They did things that no sane military would ever do. Jisoo flew her ship directly at the flagship's bridge. At the last moment, she launched every missile she had and pulled up. The missiles hit the bridge. The flagship shuddered. Korveth survived, but his command center was destroyed. His connection to the fleet was cut. For precious minutes, his ships had no orders. The humans used those minutes well. When communication was restored, Corveth looked at the battle report. He had lost 180 ships. The humans had lost 22. The ground invasion had been pushed back. His forces were in disarray. For the first time in 37 wars, Corveth felt something cold in his mechanical chest. He did not know what it was. He had removed his capacity for fear long ago. But something was wrong. Something was very wrong. "Retreat," he ordered. "All forces retreat." As his fleet fled, he sent a message to the Concorde. It was short and simple. "They are insane. Send everything." On New Busan, Ji-Suan watched the enemy ships disappear into the darkness. She was bleeding from a cut on her arm. Her ship was barely holding together. Half her crew was dead, but they had one. She opened a channel to the planet below. "This is Captain Ji-Suan. The enemy is retreating. New Busan stands." The cheering could be heard from orbit. Wu Jin-Li sat in the ruins of a building and listened to the announcement. Around him, his soldiers were crying and laughing and hugging each other. They had done the impossible. He looked up at the stars. "Oh, that was just the beginning," he said quietly. "They will come back." He was right. But now the galaxy knew something had changed. The primitives were fighting back. The Concorde did not understand what had happened at New Busan. Their programs analyzed the battle data again and again. The numbers did not make sense. 30 ships should not have held off 300. Primitive soldiers with basic weapons should not have defeated Enhanced. Warriors with combat programs, there was only one explanation. The humans had cheated somehow. They had hidden technology. They had secret weapons. Theros called a war council on Nexus Prime. Representatives from all 17 species gathered to discuss the situation. "This changes nothing," Theros declared. "One battle means nothing. We will send a larger fleet. We will crush them completely." The Kreth representative clicked nervously. "But their tactics, they are so strange. Our programs cannot predict them." "Then we will write better programs," Theros said coldly. "They are still primitives. They are still weak. They cannot win against the full might of the Concorde." He ordered the mobilization of the combined fleet. 7 species sent their armadas. 2 million ships gathered at the border of human space. It was the largest military force assembled in 1,000 years. But while the Concorde prepared for war, a young woman named Yoonji Beek was working in a small room on Earth. Yoonji was 23 years old. She had never been a soldier. She was a programmer, a hacker, someone who spent her life talking to machines. When the war started, she had volunteered to help however she could. The military gave her captured Velrathi equipment and told her to find weaknesses. So she did. For weeks, she studied the alien technology. She took apart their communication devices. She examined their neural links. She traced the signals that connected their enhanced bodies to their networks, and then she found something that changed everything. "General Shin," she said in her report, "I know why they are vulnerable." Taiho Shin stared at the young woman across his desk. "Tell me." "Our cybernetics are all connected," Youngji explained. "Every enhanced member of the Concorde is part of a network. Their brains share data. Their bodies receive updates. Their combat programs learn from each other in real time." "That sounds like a strength," Taiho said. "It is. But it is also a weakness." Youngji pulled up diagrams on her tablet. They are not individuals anymore. They are nodes in a system. Their thoughts flow through the network. Their decisions are influenced by thousands of other minds. She looked at the general. "If you disrupt the network, you disrupt all of them. If you send the wrong signal to one, it affects everyone connected to them. They optimize for order and efficiency. They have no defense against chaos." Taiho leaned forward. "How do we disrupt them?" Yoonji smiled. "We send them noise, random data, garbage signals, things their programs cannot process. Their brains will try to make sense of it and fail. Some will freeze. Some will malfunction. Some might even turn on each other." It was a theory. But it needed to be tested. Commander Dojan Yu was given the mission. He led a small strike team to a Velrathi dreadnought at the edge of the front lines. Their job was to board the ship, reach the communication center, and upload Yanji's virus. It was a suicide mission. Everyone knew it. Doyan went anyway. His team cut through the hull in the middle of the night. They moved through the ship like ghosts, avoiding patrols, staying in the shadows. The Velrathi did not expect intruders. Their program said it was impossible for humans to board a dreadnought without being detected. Their programs were wrong. Doyan reached the communication center with 4 of his team still alive. They killed the guards quickly and quietly. Then Doyan plugged Yoonji's device into the main console. The virus was simple. It was not elegant code or a sophisticated program. It was just noise, random numbers, meaningless data, chaos given form. He pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights flickered. Alarms began to sound. And everywhere on the ship, Velrathi soldiers stopped moving. Some of them stood frozen, their eyes dark, their bodies locked in place. Some of them screamed, clutching their heads as their neural links overloaded with garbage data. Some of them turned and fired at their own comrades, their targeting systems confused and broken. Doyan watched in amazement. "It works," he whispered. "It actually works." He managed to escape with 2 of his team. The dreadnought drifted dead in space, its crew destroyed by their own enhancements. When he reported back to High Command, the mood changed. Hope spread through the human forces like a wave. "They removed their weaknesses," Youngji said when she heard the news. "But they forgot that weakness is also strength. Struggling against limitations makes you adaptable." They adapted to nothing because they felt no limitations. Now they cannot adapt to us. General Taiho Shin called all commanders to a strategy meeting. "We know their weakness now," he said. "They are connected. They share everything. That means we attack everything at once. We do not fight them directly. We confuse them. We overwhelm their systems. We make them doubt what is real." He looked at the faces around the table. They have programs for war. Let us give them something their programs have never seen. Let us give them human madness. The new strategy spread across all fronts. Human ships began broadcasting garbage signals on Concorde frequencies. Ground forces used psychological warfare. They played loud music during battles. They screamed battle cries in 100 languages. They set fires just to watch them burn. They did things that made no tactical sense at all, and it worked. The Concord forces began to fall apart. Their programs could not process enemies who did not follow patterns. Their enhanced minds could not handle random noise flooding their networks. Soldiers who had been connected all their lives suddenly felt alone and confused. On one front, a Velrathi commander reported that his forces had been defeated by humans who attacked while singing songs. His program had no file for that. On another front, Kreth soldiers refused to advance because a human unit had painted their faces with blood and charged at them screaming. The Kreth had calculated a 99% chance of victory. They retreated anyway. The tide was turning. Admiral Una Park watched the battle reports with quiet satisfaction. They were still outnumbered. They were still outgunned. But they were winning. They replaced their hearts with machines, she said. They forgot that war is not won by the strongest circuit. It is won by the one too stubborn to stop breathing. Beside her, Minho Kong nodded. What is next? Una looked at the star map. One location glowed brighter than the others. Nexus Prime, the place where it all began. We end this, she said. We take the fight to them. We show the entire galaxy what humanity can do. Minho smiled grimly. They will throw everything at us. Good, Una replied. Then they will have nothing left when we are done. The final battle was coming, and humanity was ready. The human fleet gathered in the darkness between stars. 8,000 ships scarred and battered from months of war. Some were held together by nothing more than repair patches and hope. Their crews were tired. Many were wounded. All of them had lost friends. Admiral Una Park stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the faces around her. Lieutenant Minho Kang was there, as always. Captain Jisoo Wan had joined them with what remained of her fleet. Commander Do Yan Yu stood ready with his special forces teams. Even Young Ji Beek was there, her programs loaded and ready to broadcast chaos. You all know what we are facing, Una said. Nexus Prime is defended by the last of the Concord's combined fleet. 1 million ships. The best they have left. If we fail here, they will regroup. They will rebuild. They will come back stronger. She paused. But if we win, the war is over. The galaxy will know that humanity cannot be broken. She looked at each of them. I will not lie to you. Many of us will not survive today, but every death will mean something. Every ship we lose will be remembered, and every human who falls will take 10 of them with us. 8. For Earth, for our colonies, for everyone who said we could not do this, 8,000 voices answered as one. For humanity. The fleet jumped to Nexus Prime. The Concorde was waiting. A wall of ships filled the space around the station, more metal than stars. At their center was Theros himself, commanding from the same council chamber where he had laughed at the human delegation months ago. He was not laughing now.
Oh, ships.
Attack formation, Theros ordered. Destroy them completely. Leave nothing. The two fleets met in a storm of fire and metal. Ships exploded like dying stars. Missiles streaked through the void. Energy beams cut through hulls. It was chaos. And chaos was where humans lived. The human ships did not form neat lines. They scattered and regrouped and scattered again. They used debris as cover. They rammed damaged ships into enemy formations. They did everything the Concorde did not expect. Yunji's chaos programs broadcast across all frequencies. Concorde ships began to stutter and drift as their crews struggled against the noise in their heads. Some crashed into each other. Some stopped firing entirely, but the Concorde still had numbers. For every ship the humans destroyed, 3 more took its place. Una fought from the center of the battle. Her ship was hit again and again. Systems failed. Crew members died. She kept fighting. Admiral, her tactical officer, called out, "We are losing too many ships. At this rate, we will be destroyed in 2 hours." Una nodded. She had expected this. Signal the assault teams. Begin the ground operation. Dujan, you led the landing on Nexus Prime. His forces cut through the station's defenses with a ferocity that shocked the Concorde. They were not fighting for territory. They were fighting for something deeper. Find Theros, Doyan ordered. End this. The battle inside the station was brutal. Corridors became killing grounds. Rooms became tombs. The humans died by the hundreds, but they kept coming. Wujin Li was there, leading his soldiers through the chaos. He had survived New Busan. He had fought on 3 more worlds since then. His body was covered in scars, but his spirit was unbroken. "Push forward!" he shouted. "They cannot stop us." "Nothing can stop us." A Velrothi soldier blocked his path, twice his size, with arms made of chrome. Wujin did not hesitate. He charged, ducking under the chrome fist, driving his knife into the gap between metal plates. The Velrothi fell. Wujin did not stop to celebrate. He kept moving. In space, the battle reached its peak. The human fleet was down to 3,000 ships. Then 2,000. Then 1, but the Concorde was bleeding too. Their programs could not adapt to enemies who did not care about survival. Their networks were full of noise. Their commanders were confused and afraid. Yes, afraid. They had not felt fear in centuries. They had removed it, replaced it with calculations and probabilities. But the calculations said they should be winning, and they were not. Unipark watched her fleet die around her. Blood ran from a cut on her forehead. Her uniform was torn and stained. She had not slept in 30 hours, but she was still standing. And so was her ship. Admiral Minho said quietly, "There is a path. Through the debris field. We can reach the station." Una looked at the display. The path was narrow and dangerous. Most ships would not survive it. "Do it," she said. Her ship flew through fire and wreckage. Shields failed. Hull breached. Half her crew was dead by the time they reached the station. She led the survivors into the corridors, joining Do Yoon and Wu Jin and the others who were still fighting. Together, they pushed toward the council chamber. Theros was waiting for them. He stood alone in the great hall, his chrome body gleaming under emergency lights. Around him lay the bodies of his guards, killed by humans who had paid with their own lives. Una stepped forward. "How?" Theros demanded. His voice was different now. The coldness was gone. Something raw and broken had taken its place. "You have no enhancements, no upgrades, no superior technology. How do you keep fighting?" Una was bleeding. She was exhausted. She had lost so many friends that she could not count them anymore. But she smiled, because we do not need them. She raised her weapon. "You replaced your weaknesses. We embraced ours. Pain teaches us. Fear sharpens us. Death reminds us why we fight." Now she stepped closer. "You became machines to escape mortality. We became legends because we accepted it." Theros raised his chrome arm. "I can still kill you. I can crush your skull with one hand." "Maybe," Una agreed. "But you will not." "Why not?" "Because you have already lost. Your fleet is broken. Your people are confused and afraid. Your entire civilization was built on the belief that you were superior. And now you know you were wrong." She lowered her weapon. "I am not going to kill you, Theros. I am going to let you live. Let you watch as your empire crumbles. Let you explain to your people how they were beaten by primitives with meat and bone." Theros stood frozen. His combat program told him to attack. But something else stopped him. Something he had not felt since before he became machine. Shame. He fell to his knees. The war ended that day. The Galactic Concorde surrendered unconditionally. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed. Humanity did not enslave or conquer. They offered choice. Some species abandoned their cybernetics and rediscovered their organic bodies. Others kept their enhancements, but learned to value the messy, chaotic strength of natural life. Councilwoman Hannah Cho became the first human to sit on the reformed Galactic Council. Her opening words were simple. "We are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but we endure. We adapt. We love and rage and dream in ways no circuit can replicate. On Earth, a monument was built for those who fell. Minho Kong read the names aloud. Thousands of them. Admiral Una Park stood beside him, finally at peace. She thought about the long journey from that first meeting at Nexus Prime to this moment. She thought about all the people who had believed that humanity was not good enough. They asked what primitives could do against them, she said quietly. Minho smiled and looked up at the stars we showed them. The galaxy would never forget.